As Jesus descended from the mountain where he had spent time pouring into his disciples, a leper caught up with him, fell at his feet, and pleaded for the miracle he heard this preacher could do. If you don't mind, sir, can you make me clean so I can go back to normal life, please? Jesus understood what he meant. He knew how much this man must have been robbed, not just physically by the disease, but also spiritually, socially, emotionally, and financially. Loved ones lost, means of livelihood lost, relations and communications with normal people lost. Ostracized and sentenced to a lifetime of loneliness, Jesus felt the weight of his suffering and rejection and couldn't help himself from reaching over to do the forbidden, to touch a man society had stamped unclean. Yes, Jesus touched the leper. Jesus wanted to say to this suffering soul, I see you. I hear the anguish of your soul. I feel the pain of your rejection. I understand the silence and the loneliness. And yes, I can help you. I will help you. That simple touch said 1,000,001 things to the leper, who everyone else avoided because of his condition. Before Jesus opened his mouth to say anything to the leper, the compassion and acceptance he served this man that was totally rejected by society and his loved ones, for me, is one of the greatest messages that Jesus preached by his actions instead of his words. Before he said anything to the man, he reached out his hands and touched the untouchable. Jesus touched the leper that nobody would even get close to. He touched the ravaged body that has sentenced that man to a life of penury and isolation. Jesus touched him. Oh, how I love Jesus. How I love him. To the man's question of, if you don't mind, sir, can you make me clean so I can go back to normal life, please? That touch said it all before the words of Jesus landed in his ears. I definitely don't mind. You are well from this moment. And immediately the leprosy was gone. The man was healed and ready to go back home. He was ready to return back into society. He was a new man inside out. More than the miracle of his healing, he was a man transformed by the compassion of another. You know what? Even if Jesus never said anything after that thought, and never performed the miracle of healing thereafter, that man's life will still be forever changed by the fact that Jesus stopped for his sake, looked into his eyes, acknowledged him, recognized his situation, and made a connection that nobody ever would and ever could. The man's life will be forever changed by that touch of compassion. The touch spoke more than words and was a miracle in itself. Let's get our journal for some reflections. What do you do when you come across people who are rejected by society? Quickly change lanes or cross the road and pass like they don't exist so they don't stain you with their overload of ills? Throw coins at them and move on with your life? Pause and acknowledge them, even if you can't give them the miracle they need. I remember one Christmas, I was going from store to store buying Christmas gifts for my loved ones. As I walked toward another store, a man deformed by some medical conditions was standing at the corner. You know, some people actually ask. Some carry signs that ask, and some make signs that ask. My heart is always moved whenever I see people in conditions that are begging so loudly on their behalf that I never wait for them to ask. I don't know if he would have asked anything of me because he didn't ask those who passed ahead of me, but I paused And he gave me this smile that said, I am human still despite my condition. No, I don't eat people. My condition is not infectious. Don't worry, I won't contaminate you. My situation may be scary, but I don't mean to scare people. I can be happy in spite of this terrible state, and I can still smile no matter what I'm up against. His generous smile stole my heart, and I gave it right back to him, full smile. I said nothing, got some good notes from my purse, and handed them over to him. The astonishment in his eyes melted my heart. The tears that dripped out of those eyes that obviously weren't expecting much crushed whatever was left of my melted heart. He took my hands and drew me close. Can I give you a hug? He asked. And I didn't have to answer. I just wrapped my arms around him and he held me for quite a while. He released me without letting go of my hands as he told me his sad story. Life had been good until he lost a loved one, went into depression, unable to help himself, and one after the other, he lost everything. He said he's a believer, though homeless. He knows he has a home in heaven, that he doesn't know how to beg. So every day he wakes up, he prays, asks God to bring helpers his way, and just stands there waiting for those God will bring to help him for that day. What faith! We chatted a while before I walked away with a heart that was both blessed and broken at the same time. Richly blessed by the beauty of being human and watching that reveal the human in the other person, and tenderly broken by the suffering of another human being like me. What a world we live in. Charity, they say, must begin at home. This is not about showing compassion to the world out there. We must start by showing compassion to those closest to us and take it to the next step and the next step until we can reach the world. Let's not be deceived by undertaking mission trips to go help those a million miles away when those who are around us are perishing and we are unaware or insensitive of their needs. Truth be told, what some of us spend to cruise around the world in the name of mission would have helped so much more if we turned to Jesus and asked him how best he wanted us to use those resources. Get your journal, please. How can you reach out and touch those in your family with the kind of compassion that Jesus exhibited in his lifetime? How can you reach those in your neighborhood to show them God's love in whatever ways you can, no matter how little it may seem? How can you give of yourself first and then your gifts to those you meet out there who are genuinely in need of whatever help they can get? Just like we grow our skills and professional expertise, let us be equally intentional in growing our compassionate skills. Yes, let us be deliberate in learning how we can reach across and touch the person next to us and those we meet on our life's journey with such compassion that says to them, I see you, I feel you, I care about you. Don't worry, everything is going to be okay. We may not be able to heal or change the conditions of these helpless folks out there, but what a difference it will make if we could pause in our pursuits and give them a piece of our heart, our time, our attention, our recognition, anything from us that would say, I see you, I feel you, because you are just like me. Our circumstances may be different, but we are all the same. Human beings trying to get through life one way or the other. Although I can't help much, but know you are seen, you are loved, and everything will be okay because in the end, God makes everything right for us all. Jesus healed the leper and sent him away. It didn't get on any media then. And even if it did, Jesus didn't put it out. The man must have. Jesus did what he could and never advertised or merchandised the help he rendered to the needy. Oh, how I pray that our generation will grow in maturity to the point that we can reach out and touch and help the needy and not feel the need to get applause for whatever we were able to do. Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke and acted like a child. But when I grew up, I learned to live maturity. We have to grow past these childish attitudes of flaunting our kindness at the expense of the dignity of those we help. To be able to go out of our way and do so much for others and be content that we were blessed enough to be of help to another. No expectations attached. To be able to give all we can and wait on God to reward our labor of love however he pleases. To give generously, even if we don't get to write it off in the next tax season. It's great to give to organizations that support good causes. But guess what is the greatest of them all? To give to real persons in need, knowing we won't be getting a tax receipt. May we be generous with our words, our deeds, and our gifts. Check out the links and the scriptures below for additional help. Feel free to share your thoughts and answers in the comments. Be inspired. You are a star, and it's your time to shine. Don't forget to subscribe and share this with family and friends. And then join me in the next video, still on this series of divine interruption, titled, He Came to Set the Captives Free.